welcome back everyone to the LCS for our next game of the day. It's FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. We're gonna dive right in because teams are just about ready. Thing sitting at the top of my brain, of course, is the fact that FlyQuest was the team that pulled out the Jan top.
Yeah.
We've seen it once before. Will we see it again? That's the big question.
Yeah, and here, we see Kumo on the Chana top from yesterday. There's also, he's going to be going up against Licorice. And if you remember, the Licorice, Golden Guardians FlyQuest trade last year was what kind of brought him to Golden Guardians and really, reset his career, honestly.
Yeah, they both also were at Cloud9 during the same time as well, so they have a little bit of history there. The two of them have always been kind of right next to each other in a lot of ways, it feels like, with the fact that, Kumo was on FlyQuest Academy as well during that time before the trade. So it's interesting to see the two of them have this close relationship a little bit.
A little bit of history in C9 as well. So being able to see that's going to be great. I'm interested in part because you heard from the interview from Kumo, and I'm assuming that the team just thinks that this pick is broken.
He's getting banned, let's be honest. We're not seeing it.
They don't want to deal with it, especially after the last game where, I was wondering what it would look like in competitive play because I didn't think it was going to happen. I was like, oh, there's a counter strategy. You can always go Kale or Tryndamere, play side lanes, all these things. Early game Snowball felt impossible to deal with, right? And I don't think that last game was a perfect indication because CLG were dying before they were even in a position to protect from a dive.
Yeah.
So they were making a lot of mistakes up until that point. Beautiful hair, Licorice. But yeah, ban it. I don't think they'll go to another champion. I want to see what standard FlyQuest looks like.
Not me. Let's keep doing the fun stuff.
I'm waiting for Karma
I'm just
to
saying,
bring something else in.
there are other things you can play if the Janna gets banned. We have LS also in the LCS right now showing you can do interesting things.
Yes.
I feel like if they want to commit to this strategy, FlyQuest could do it.
Well, speaking of fun stuff, what's not fun about Qiyana jungle?
True.
I mean, they banned the Zed against Pridestalker, and once again, we called out Pridestalker as the rival of this game, the best performer on this Golden Guardians team, even in the loss. I would love to see similar compositions that really make the most of his mechanics, because I think he showed yesterday, especially on these champions like the Qiyana, like the Zed that was banned out, he's very good.
Yeah, a lot of hype here. And I mean, even seeing him when he was playing in ERLs there, Xin Zhao was a constant for him. He's just somebody that wants to be able to play those carry options. And so seeing him on the Qiyana, the early game looked great, as you could see throughout the replays. It's more so just, what's next? When you hit the mid game, being able to take that goal lead and reliably place it in either, of course, Pridestalker. That game, you could do it around Jhin. I just want to see that level of consistency when they get there. It's only one game, of course. They're the team that just got Olleh off the plane and stuff like that, so we want to see that level of improvement.
It's good to see, though, given that he was someone that people were a little critical of coming over. There's been a lot of criticism thrown to the ERL players that were coming over from Europe this year, and he was someone who caught a little bit of that flack, and I think it just shows that there's a reason that Golden Guardians scouted him, that they wanted to go get him. He's still surprisingly young, despite debuting in the LEC, I believe it was 3 years ago. So overall, I have a lot of things I'm excited to see about him.
More than anything, I'm excited to see champions for exactly everything that we've just talked about. And with that, the teams are ready. So we're back over to Flowers and Azael for the call.
Thank you so much, my friends. And after that last game, I just hope the next two are equally as good, Azael. That last one was awesome.
That was so much fun. I've just loved the diversity of strategies and play styles that we've been getting in the LCS this year. I talked about it a little bit on Waiting Room earlier today, but the idea that we have all these different approaches to the game and players and coaches now from all kinds of different regions coming to play in North America, I think is such a beautiful thing. People are joking about, LCS's Rift Rivals. Well, we kind of have the LPL school of thought. We have the LCK school
Melting
of thought.
pot, baby.
We have the NA school of thought. We have the EU school of thought. And you're getting so many different high-level players and coaches and analysts that all look at the game differently. And it's really showcasing itself beautifully on the screen. You're getting to see so many different draft priorities, so many different styles. And I think it's making the league an absolute pleasure to watch.
And with these two teams coming up here with FlyQuest and Golden Guardians, there's plenty to prove. Everybody wants to kick off strong, have themselves a good game, have a solid showing here. Golden Guardians yesterday against Cloud9, solid lead early on, but they fell into the trap at church. They managed to accidentally go near the Dragon Pit on a Sunday, and they were purified thereafter.
Yeah.
So you gotta think that they have the tools to make these things happen. Pridestalker in particular, just the absolute killer instinct on the Kiana was a lot of fun to watch.
It was. And the fact that not only did he go for the Kiana, he drew a Zed ban. So people are clearly paying respect to the fact that he will bring assassins out of the jungle. And I've also got to say, Anero, his jacket's looking pretty swaggy today. So I'm wondering, is that going to give them the draft advantage here?
Yeah, I'm hoping you watch this part when you do VOD review in Nero, because the jacket is sick.
The jacket is on
it's
point.
2 out of 2 approval.
It's looking nice.
Up here at the caster desk. All right, let's see what we got. Thresh, Kiana, and part of Raya's band away. I don't know what's wrong with his stupid picture.
It's only his shoulder. He's so buff. That's really what you aspire to. You
the dude is just
You can't
jacked.
fit in the picture anymore. That's where you got to get to, Flowers.
When you're so fit, you can't fit. That's the way to be. Other side's going to ban out Zeri, Caitlyn, and Twisted Fate. First
Karma
pick of the
first.
draft, Karma for FlyQuest.
Okay, I mean, the immediate pairing you're thinking is it's going to be Karma Ezreal. Be interesting to see if Golden Guardians are willing to do, a different Ezreal pairing to take that away, or if they even care. Caitlyn Lux is another answer that a lot of people do like to go towards as an ability to kind of match that does have a really strong laning phase, that can scale well, siege well, take towers. Can be pretty powerful, but Corki available. And it's been a while since Corki has been getting picked. I feel like it has been getting banned out a lot lately. This time it does get through. We might have Corki Victor in the mid lane, and could be looking at that.
But remember, the nerfs to Corki are not in yet.
Yeah.
The live patch nerfs to the package that make it harder to use that on all of the objectives.
Not just on sync
always
with
have
every
it ready.
objective.
Yeah. That's not in yet, so it's still the same Corki that we know and do not love from Lock-In that chunks you for 60% HP per rocket. But it's going to be up to Golden Guardians to build a comp around that, and let's see what they can do. They're also grabbing the Gwen. Remember, this is a flex, can jungle as well as top lane, so we'll see where that goes. Josedeodo going to pick up the Lee Sin here as they grab Jinx for the bottom lane.
Okay, so it's not Jinx, and that makes me wonder if there's more of an opportunity for this to actually go towards mid lane or even top lane, to move it around the map. Jinx Karma is not nearly as common of a pairing. If you just say, hey, Karma is just really strong, we just want to have this regardless, it's not like it's a bad lane.
Yeah.
But generally, people are going for more disengaged enchanters alongside the Jinx. If they're going to go for an enchanter route, they go to something like a Lulu, and they like a lot of the aggressive engage routes. And it's going to be Zed, so that should be Zed jungle for Pridestalker. He drew a ban on it yesterday, looked great on the Kiana, now bringing out another aggressive pick. This is another team, this is what I'm talking about. People that have very different takes on what is correct in the game. Almost everyone here is just going to lock a Xin Zhao, is going to lock, champions along those lines. He is willing to take a swing with a more aggressive approach, and I wonder, does Yuumi draw a ban now here in the second phase from FlyQuest? Because really, with all the assassin pairings, Yuumi really does shine. And if you're concerned that could Karma go to a different lane, they could grab up something like that,
I have always loved the Zed or bed spam in chat. Well, wake the hell up, my friends. Zed is unleashed. I really hope that Pridestalker's able to
Those
pop
people
off
have been
on
sleeping
this.
since like 2014 because we haven't gotten a lot of Zed.
It's okay. Hibernation Nation is over. Report for duty. It's time for Zed in the jungle. This champion is so flashy when played correctly and at a high level. It is so stylish to see, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. We got Victor banned away. We got Jhin banned away. Curious to see, maybe the Karma goes mid, as you already said, like this Karma can be flexed around. Curious to see what exactly we're going to get into the Corki since Victor's out now. You've got the Jace banned away too. Yuumi's still available. FlyQuest have one last ban. They're going to ban Varus instead.
Really interesting. Varus has not been super high priority, but maybe more of just a nod to Lost as a player who has liked Varus quite a lot over the last couple of years, but still, Aphelios is kind of conspicuously absent from the ban list, so when you're throwing a lot of bans at the marksman, that's still up. It's just going to be a trade of the two. But Jinx, a lot of people do feel that Jinx outscales the Aphelios and can match the lane early because you have rockets for the shove. Especially if you're sending Karma down there, you're going to win the shove against basically anything you would pair with the Aphelios. But with 5th pick support here, for Golden Guardians, I'm really curious to see, do they have something out of left field? And there it is. I did start to wonder when it was the Karma alongside the Jinx, if it was going to be a solo lane, and it will be solo lane here. So it should be Karma top. I think we're getting Smite Karma roaming I think this
Okay.
is going to be that similar style to Janna, and I think they were just trying to hide it. I think the hand has now been tipped. It should be Vex mid. It's going to be the Braum Jinx bot, and you're very likely going to have Kumo roaming here from top lane with Karma. I played this a little bit myself. I'm not as big of a fan of it as I am on the Janna.
Okay.
It plays in a very different way. One of the reasons that the Janna I think is so effective is just the flat move speed on your W as well as your passive. You get around the map very, very quickly. You can make such a big difference in these fights. The way I think you have to play this is less supporting the lanes and more actually invading and supporting the jungler when you play with the Karma, because Karma is very effective with the ultimate from level 1 in these skirmishes. So if you actually get in the face of Pridestalker, he's playing the Zed, he does not want to try to take a 1v1 against the Lee Sin, and he definitely does not want to try to take a 1v2 against a Karma and a Lee Sin this early on. And with double smite and the early game power here, plus you add in Vex, who has the long range assistance, who can potentially, on a tether, land that long range ulti, jump into a jungle fight. I think that's the way that FlyQuest have to play this. And I'm really excited to see if they can actually execute on that type of a game plan.
And the one thing that we didn't talk about, the final pick of the draft for Golden Guardians, they're locking in Rakan for Olleh. I like the fact that they picked this up because it is engaged. The rest of this squad, although all the picks can be individually powerful, Corki, Gwen, Zed, Aphelios, the engage there is just non-existent. So now they have an option to actually say, here's our go button, we're gonna fight you.
Absolutely, they can pick their moments. And it's really interesting. I've been talking to some different coaches, I've been talking to some different pros about how they actually think you should respond to this strategy. And people have very different school of thoughts, right? From my experience and the way I've seen it play out, I feel strongly that the best answer to the roaming smite top is to actually never roam yourself. It is to hard commit to the side lane. It is to force them to come to you because their game plan is around team fighting. And as the Gwen, you can scale in the side lane. You can try to hard shove here. And we already see they want to utilize their level 1. You've got Braum, Lee Sin, Jinx, and Karma. That is 4 of the strongest level 1s in the game here. You can mantra Q over the wall, and they do get the slow, but Licorice can just level E, so he's chilling.
He's all right.
If that was someone else, could have been a little bit of a problem. But now, just start level 1 on his red buff and say, guess what, Mr. Zed? You don't get one of these.
And they have the sweeper too. They can clear that away. And a control ward purchased at level 1 from Kumo instead of any potions means that they have even more vision control to guarantee control over this sector.
Oh, they get both the wards. That really hurts.
Yeah, that's a lot in their pocket here at level 1. They're loving that for FlyQuest.
And they haven't seen the Lee Sin, so they actually don't know if they can safely invade on bot side for a counter invade, right? They're trying to figure out, all right, what the hell do we do now? Do we actually start our blue? Do we try to start enemy red? Do we go into vertical jungling?
Yep.
They have no information because the only vision that they actually have on the map is this line along here. So they are actually invading now bot side. And this is going to be a tough answer for Golden Guardians. They just have to give it up. This is the right call. You cannot win in that 3v3, so he has to start his wolves, and there's no vision on the red, so you can start his own blue, then go meet him at his red, and really try to abuse this, and here comes Kumo.
Yeah, Kumo was standing by at the FlyQuest red buff in case they were going to try to sneak that away. He would be there to at least contest it with his own smite. That's not necessary. FlyQuest are just really in the face of Golden Guardians and Pridestalker in particular here. Pridestalker is level 2, so he's going to feel okay, perfectly fine if he gets into a 1v1 situation with Kumo.
But look at the map. Look at Kumo. He's going to the Raptors. He's going to go harass. He doesn't have his smite up, but he's going to be looking to try to steal something away. He did get some of that CS, so I think he got maybe the little Raptors there, unless he leached farm mid, but I'm assuming he stole some of those Raptors away from Pridestalker, who's now going to have a slow clear here, unleashed, and it's a really rough situation. And I actually like the timing. You notice Kumo started mid level 1, but he's top here to catch the wave. So he starts around mid, moves through mid, goes up to Raptors. Raptors are down, he goes up towards top, and he's here to actually catch this wave. It's about the experience. You don't actually really care about the gold as much. Of course, it's nice to get gold, but mostly you just need to get XP. Make sure you don't do anything stupid. Don't die for sure. That is a disaster if you do. But get level 3, get all your skills, start moving around the map, and really enable Josedeodo to take what is going to be a nice early game lead and try to explode it. Show up to every dragon, show up to every herald, and force them to march to the beat of your own drum.
Or maybe Jose's just going to show up here and you can make a play onto Licorice instead. Despite the fact that you're not going to have an economy as the game goes on, everybody starts off at the same point, and it's not like Gwen can build up a huge gold lead in 1.5 minutes. Jose will not find the opportunity to get anything done up here. Instead, heading back down into the river to grab that Scuttle Crab. Jose one camped ahead of Pridestalker right now, who was able to clear through his top side, but then just decided to go back because honestly, that was kind of the only play that he had.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? You don't have any information on where they are. Pridestalker, though, looking mid. He has snuck around Vision here. I don't think he was spotted on the pink on the way out. toucouille could be in trouble.
He does have the fear. He can use that to get himself out if need be. Just walks right past that shadow. He knows if Pridestalker tries to do anything cheeky that he can keep himself alive with that. Let's take another look at what happened here with Kumo contesting these Raptors at level 1.
Full steal.
Is he just gonna
Close your eyes, jungle mains.
ballistic missile? Boom! He stole the big chicken and 3 of the little ones.
I think he just
Pridestalker ordered a whole bucket of chicken and he just got 2 wings.
Feels bad, man.
Feels bad. I'm going back to the store.
It's really, I've got to say, and people kind of joke about, like, strong mental, don't get tilted, whatever, a lot. But unironically, this strategy really does require you to not get frustrated easily to play against. It is so annoying to play against.
It's why I dread playing against
I don't know if you have had the displeasure yet as a jungler playing against this, but pretty much anytime you see one person, you have to be like, yep, sorry, all yours.
See ya.
Because there's probably a second person coming. And it really does require you to play with a lot of restraint, which that's not the play style Zed wants to play with. He wants to have that killer instinct. He wants to be in your face. He wants to see someone kill someone.
Well, talking about somebody killing somebody, FlyQuest wants to make it happen here mid, but Ablazeolive, he's able to get himself back to safety with the Valkyrie. Now, the important part, he already used his teleport, but down here in bottom, it's Golden Guardians trying to make a move of their own. Aphromoo prevents a lot of damage there with the Unbreakable, so although Johnsun has to use his flash, he'll still stay alive with about half HP as well.
But this was actually really well played by Golden Guardians, but here's 5-man bot already. No TP can bail you out of this one.
Here we go. Golden Guardians got to try to defend this. 3 versus 5 underneath the turret. A teleport's coming in. Pridestalker and Lost both going to be losing some HP. Aphromoo trying to get back now with Johnsun tank at the turret. Licorice has joined up, but he has very little mana to work with. Golden Guardians will survive the dive.
But that was great because you pull Licorice away from that top lane. You force out that defensive TP, and FlyQuest intelligently did not overcommit to it. They didn't hard commit and then get killed by that TP coming in. So they're able to back it off. The TP is gone from Licorice. That slows down his acceleration up in that top lane. Of course, he's still going to get rich. That's just going to happen. You start pull against this, and you will be unopposed. He's already collected a plate, but every little bit that you can push him down is advantageous. Because really, the measure is not the gold of the top laner versus top laner. The measure is their
Carry
top
versus
laner versus your carries, exactly. As the Karma, you are saying, how rich can I get Lee Sin, Jinx, and Vex? And really, it's Licorice's job to completely outweigh that, to become such a threat, such a behemoth on that top lane, that you can just snap your fingers and end the game. You're looking to be Thanos up there, otherwise your team's in trouble.
Otherwise, if you fall just a little bit behind, you can end up in a situation like what we saw yesterday where they were up against Cloud9 in that bottom side of the river, and the Renekton needed 100 more damage to be able to kill Berserker. And they weren't up against a roaming Smite top laner in that game specifically, but again, it's one of those things where just the smallest amount of gold might be the difference maker against these supportive type of strategies. FlyQuest continuing to play as a group, continuing to invade, continuing to try to use the extra man of Kumo to steal things away from the Golden Guard.
Yeah, and you can just leech all these with your Smite. You just throw out that Smite charge willy-nilly. It doesn't really matter. It's never going to upgrade because you won't get the jungle items. You're on the 450 Smite.
Right.
It allows you to have that leash. Nice little sidestep there by toucouille. He'll be okay, but they're going to threaten the dive again. It is now another wraparound here coming in. No flash on Lost. I don't think you get out of this one.
Lost. Okay, it's going to be a root onto Olleh. The focus onto Lost. He'll die immediately. Olleh now the next target. They're trying to juggle the aggro here. Olleh gets stunned up. Josedeodo cashes in. 1 kill over to the AD carry and 1 to the jungle.
This is the beauty of this strategy. Sure, it's 64 CS to 24 up in the top lane, but you almost have as big of an advantage on your Jinx already. It is crazy. Pridestalker, I think, is doing his best to really kind of avoid and just get as much farm as he can. And this is kind of what you have to do. You have to play guerrilla tactics. As Pridestalker, you can't answer the enemy Lee Sin ever because he has a karma in his pocket. So he is going elsewhere. He's down a little bit on gold, but he's actually up on experience. So credit to Pridestalker for trying to get what he can. This is not going to happen. It's going to take too long, and they're on a reset. They will come check this. So the Herald is going to be stopped. I think he's going to have to bail out unless they're willing to take a full-on 5v5, which I would not advise against this strategy.
Yeah, Licorice having barely any mana to work with as well doesn't seem to bode very well. Almost running out of patience here on the Rift Herald. Shelly's just about ready to give up and go home. She'll walk right back into the pit, and nobody else is going to stick around. Gold graph on the side. It's Licorice, the richest man on the map, but Johnsun is there in second, about 600 gold behind him. And then Ablazeolive, another 500 gold behind him. So it really is the Gwen versus Jinx show.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I will say is you're not planning on your mid laner to be losing this much. You still want your mid laner to be ahead. It looks like Golden Guardians are just down for the 5v5, though. Licorice is actually based. The package does expire, though, and man, I really doubt this is going to work.
Oh, they're ready to go, though. Pridestalker getting himself out. Lost is at 200 HP. The Golden Guardians AD carry will find it very difficult to participate in this fight with red-white guns and no health. The range is so limited there. They shoot the zap out towards Ablazeolive, but he can Valk back over the wall. FlyQuest will earn themselves a Herald with that fight.
Yeah, FlyQuest's going to get everything there, and they force out the flash, as you say, from Pridestalker. toucouille does trade his own, but I just don't think you want to be grouping against that. As I was saying, you know, the more they pull you to them, the more you try to play their playstyle, you're just doing what Karma does, but worse, right? You need to be in a side lane, pressuring towers, really threatening that sort of a game plan. And Licorice has already taken down that top tower, so he's already on Riftmaker. He is very strong. I mean, a 9-minute Riftmaker in a normal game, you'd be freaking out. Like, this game is, this is GG. This guy's going to ruin the game. As a nice little steal there comes through from Ablazeolive. But because of how different these games play out, it is a little bit of a different style. But I really want Licorice to hard commit to the side lane, go towards, you know, full-on split push build, threaten towers, ignore Kumo. Who cares what he's doing? You're going to take the base.
Right. You are going to find that value in this side lane more than he can contribute to the team fight.
Yep.
More than his shields will allow Jinx to carry. Your pure damage will allow you to.
Exactly. And you don't need to deal with the Jinx. You can end the game through side. You can end the game through split push. Because guess what? If Gwen is way up on the game in gold, who from FlyQuest will answer side? They have no 1v1 side lane champion. There's no chance. So you're going to have to pull two. And then, sure, yeah, there's going to be a second member that can come over there, and if you're willing to send Karma and Lee Sin, well, Gwen can probably be held by that. But then guess what? Your 4-man squad on the other side gets to play the game. And that's really what it's about. It's about really focusing on your own strengths instead of trying to play their game, which they are just better set up for.
And honestly, if I'm a turbo-fed Gwen with pure, like, carry build, I'm not afraid of 1v2ing Zero Money Karma and a Lee Sin.
Yeah.
It's not even that difficult. And then when your team is 4v3, you're saying, all right, cool, you guys do whatever you want, sure. It's such an interesting thing to see the differences in the goals for how the teams are playing. But both teams are now aware that the Drake is spawning in about 30 seconds. You can see a bunch of vision here in the bottom side river around that Drake pit for the side of the Golden Guardians. They want to be the ones to be able to at least see if FlyQuest are going for that second one.
Poor Lost.
That Rift Herald will be summoned up down here. Lost and Olleh continuing to try to defend underneath the tier 1, but FlyQuest have a 4-man play potentially coming in for the dive. Now, we've also got a defensive TP coming in from Ablazeolive, trying to make sure they can hold on here. Herald gets the charge. Turret loses most of its health, but
what's Gwen doing?
Not all. And Gwen is on the tier 2 here in the top lane. Plates might not be falling yet, Azael, but tier 2 turrets don't have them anyway.
Yep, there's no dinner to be served up there. They're going to be knocking this one down very, very quick. He's already cashed in on the call. That's going to be solo gold on a tier 2. Watch the gold jump up when he actually cashes out on this. toucouille going to be able to defend it for now, but that is such a big deal. You know, he is at 5,700 gold. I will say, though, that this is going to be an exercise in frustration for Lost. Lost is just not going to have fun this game. Like, they're just too far behind, right? And he's been zoned off waves. He's been dove multiple times. Yes, the first one they had to back off of, but he was losing waves every single time.
And I think that's a very important skill as a pro player, to be able to play a bad game gracefully.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're going to be set up as the focus of the enemy team, and you must be able to play it gracefully.
And I'd say for solo queue as well, man, that's a lesson that a lot of players could really learn. Allow yourself to be carried. If the game is not going well for you, gracefully lose. Go down 10, 20 CS, but keep yourself alive. Play safe. And that allows your other members who can already have an advantage to potentially carry the game and get you that free LP.
Well, we'll see how Lost is able to manage this. 50 CS down, Mythic completed on the other side. Johnsun having the Gale Force, opting for some extra mobility as well as the execution damage potential of that active versus something pure DPS like a Kraken Slayer. I mean, Lee Sin also has the Gore Drinker completed now, but when you compare these Mythics now being completed to the 4 minutes ago Riftmaker, you see the difference in economy.
Absolutely. And what I will say is I don't think this game is actually going that great for FlyQuest. It's going to come down to the next Dragon fight, because what I'm really looking at, as far as the comparison goes, is the gold between Pridestalker and Josedeodo, as well as the gold between the mid laners, right?
Okay.
And it's actually in the advantage of Golden Guardians on both of them. So sure, yes, you did get a big advantage down in that bot lane, but you actually didn't get your jungler ahead. You didn't get your mid laner ahead. So I don't think that they've created enough of an edge to really justify the strategy.
And now they're coming up top here looking to make this move. aphromoo and Johnsun want to get away. Kumo's coming up to try to help him. Pridestalker's taken very low. Licorice is just a menace. They all have to retreat from him. Pridestalker tries to get out of here. Josedeodo coming up to see if there's anything to clean away here. Licorice underneath the turret.
5 top.
1 versus 5. He's gonna get kicked there by the Sonic Wave. He's stuck in the CC. See you later. FlyQuest cashing in, and money on toucouille, which is important because, as you've been pointing out, he's falling behind.
They do, but again, it's 2 waves being pushed. They're the ones being pushed out. I think Golden Guardians is actually handling this very, very well. It's not trying to contest where they are, it's trying to go where they aren't, because the composition is built to 5v5. It's built to function in that way. So sure, you went 5 top. You killed Licorice, that's great. You got a tower, that's great. But Aphelios got solo gold down bot, where you shared that gold amongst 5 members top lane, which is just less efficient. Then, at the same time, Ablazeolive don't roam to answer that, push in mid. He's chunking out that tower, he gets that down to half, and forces out a TP to answer. toucouille's gonna go back to base, and that means this tower, he cancels it now, this tower is taking more and more damage. So next time you roam away, that could be a dead turret. And Golden Guardians are gonna have their own scaling threats.
Golden Guardians with that 2K lead 15 minutes into the game is very nice stuff. But as you've already pointed out, so much is going to depend on this next Drake fight.
Absolutely.
If FlyQuest can continue stacking towards a soul, have that soul point threat for the rest of the game, then this will create a demand for grouped fights, exactly what they're trying to play around. If they miss, if this becomes a 2-1 Dragon game, all of a sudden, Golden Guardians are saying, well, all right, if you want to take the next Dragon, take it. I don't care. By then, Licorice is going to be 3 items, and you guys can just stare at the
You have no nexus.
Like, see ya.
Yeah, it gets tough, and it's interesting because this strategy can be played out in so many different ways, and a lot of people talk about these sorts of games as, it's a bloodbath because everyone starts scrapping, but really that generally goes to the advantage of the roaming top support. Really from the other point of view, from the other team, I think the correct way to play it out is more like it's a lane swap, which is maybe less entertaining because there's less action on the map, but it's avoidance, it's scaling, it's getting more out of multiple lanes, and that's what Golden Guardians has done well here.
You need to play the PvE game, not the PvP game.
Absolutely. You've got better players to clear out those sideways. Every time Kumo is actually pulled to a side lane to answer, you get the advantage. Sure, toucouille went bot until the tower. You got tower 1 in mid, you got tier 2 in top, and you're maybe going to get tier 2 mid as well.
And you're now using a level 7 Karma with no money to try to defend against a level 11 Gwen. Licorice does not care about this damage. He can face tank empowered Q with the root attached to it. Everything's there, doesn't matter.
Turns out, Moonstone, not the best 1v1 item.
Yeah, turns out, items that are designed around supportive team fighting. Oh, and you know what's even worse than a Moonstone in 1v1?
What?
Half a Moonstone. And that is all that Kumo has.
Like the Crescent Moonstone?
Yeah, it's not the waxing and waning.
Is it waxing and waning?
I remember you brought back a repressed memory of having to do moon phase homework in 4th grade and just not understanding it, but now Olleh is going in trying to stop FlyQuest. He's at about 50 HP, but he stays alive. FlyQuest gets the Drake. Importantly, Ablazeolive goes in. Package plus bout means he's able to find a kill, but now toucouille has to get away as well. Licorice running down the enemy bottom lane. One more snip on aphromoo, and another for Johnsun. He cuts them both down. Now he'll look for toucouille as well. Pridestalker right behind him, and the Golden Guardians just smear the floor with FlyQuest.
FlyQuest get the dragon, but Golden Guardians get everything else. All of your efforts to getting this Jinx ahead, only for her to be 1v2'd by a little girl with a big pair of scissors.
Snip, snip. Let's take another look at how it went down.
Golden Guardians, though, you have to say, a little bit late to show up. Giving over that dragon uncontested does hurt because FlyQuest still maintained the potential soul win condition. But then, in goes the package, splitting up the fight, and that is critical. Ablazeolive puts down that line of package, and then notice how he actually retreats away from the Jinx, waiting for Licorice to actually do that. So they set up multiple fights on different sides. You know, it's one fight on the top side of your screen, one fight down here from Licorice. Segmenting that out was beautifully done with the package. That was the perfect way to play that engage from Ablazeolive. If he jumps in onto the Jinx, he likely just dies right away. But instead, that pushes him away from the rest of his teammates, removes him from the fight, and put their most fed member, Licorice, the guy who's equipped to deal with the Jinx, in the 1v2, where he can handle him.
3,805 damage dealt in the last team fight from Licorice's Jinx. Roughly 37 times the damage of Lost on Aphelios, which is exactly
How many
what
times the
we
damage
said.
of Karma?
Too many. The calculator
I
doesn't...
like how you looked over very earnestly. You're like, I've got this. And then you see 53, you're like,
I was just like, no, we ain't doing
how
that.
could you do this to me?
It's like, all right.
The look of betrayal on Captain Flower's
bunch of
face.
numbers, dude. Anyway, the Golden Guardians are loving it, man. And you can see that recurve bow in Gwen's inventory, and that means the Nashor's Tooth is on the way as
That's what I
item
love.
number 3. Riftmaker, Cosmic Drive, Nashor's. At that point, it's Gwen's world, and y'all are just living in it until she cuts you out.
I mean, who needs Azonias when Karma can't hurt you, right?
Yeah.
You just get the Nashers, go for the full-on split push build. I love this style of build here from Licorice. Really, I think, showing a good understanding of how to play against this comp in general for Golden Guardians. The real concern now is just going to be, can you stop Soul, right? Because Ocean Soul is still worth thousands of gold, and that can still make this composition very difficult to deal with because Jinx is still strong. You are going to have that Karma in there that is going to help to buff him up. But I will say, you know, and this is one of the reasons I like the Karma a lot less than some of the other looks, especially the Janna, is Karma is not a really appealing champion. It's like more of an aggressive early game champion. You utilize your poke, you use a lot of the speed ups, but you can't disengage from a Zed and from a Gwen like a Janna can, right? So it's hard to, I really think, function from behind as the Karma in the same way that a Janna can. And that's why I've never been as big of a fan of this kind of permutation of the strategy. Because it requires you to get so monstrously ahead in the early game to really be successful in my experience. And they just didn't do it. You know, Pridestalker played it so smart. I just think it's pretty incredible that you're playing Zed jungle, who is not a winning 1v1 against the Lee Sin, and he has a Karma behind him, and you're out farming the Lee Sin, right?
Yeah.
So, while getting invaded and warded on both sides of your jungle.
It shows me that he knew what he wanted to do with this matchup and with this game the whole time.
Absolutely.
He stuck to it. He never got pulled into the trap of, oh, well, they're roaming around as 4 guys, so I need to always be roaming around with my 4 guys or anything like that. He was able to trust the team. Hey, don't get suckered into this. Don't get caught out by the Karma. I won't do the same, and we'll just continue to scale.
Exactly. It's loss mitigation, right? And I think while Loss is monstrously behind and he's not going to be the hero this game, that's okay. Because they kind of abandon ship on that, right?
Yeah.
When Lee Sin goes bot with Karma, you don't try to answer that as Zed. You say, all right, I'm going to go steal his blue buff. I'm going to go take away his camps and really just try to accelerate myself and utilize that additional gold and that additional experience. Because one of the disadvantages of this roaming strategy is that you're sharing XP across your lanes. The more grouped you are, the less individual XP you're getting.
The way I think about it is the fact that the team that's up against something like a roaming smite support top feels like they're the ones under pressure.
Yeah.
But in reality, it is the smite support top team that is under the pressure to make active choices, to make things happen, and to accelerate the game. Because if the game does not go decidedly in their favor, you're 4 versus 5.
Exactly. As long as your top laner is not griefing.
Right.
And I've had many
if
a
your top
griefing
laner's
top
sitting there
laner.
trying to freeze the wave against nothing, then yeah, you're probably going to have a bad
I've had more games than you would believe where you get something like a Gwen and they're like, what if I roamed with a Doran's shield and tried to answer the karma? And it turns out, you're not that strong!
It's really bad.
Farm the waves!
Who would have guessed? Pridestalker and the rest of the Golden Guardians are on to the fourth
Jose
break
wants
of the
to
game.
steal, man.
Josedeodo is nearby. Olleh is going to zone him away. Licorice going in, 1 versus 5, but the backup arrives. Aphromoo stuck. He will be the sacrificial lamb as Ablazeolive continues to chase forward. Flashes over the wall to try to survive. Josedeodo is able to take him down, but loses his life in return. Double kill for Licorice. Soul is shut down.
This is Baron.
Golden Guardians are loving the way this looks with Baron up and ready.
They're going over there. Lost has enough damage to win this encounter. Might not be winning the PvP, but Lost can still get some PvE done here with the white and red gun.
White and red, Baron's dead.
Yep, toucouille has no ultimate. They're still going to try to contest this. They have Johnsun alive, but Johnsun has no sums. If you get engaged on, you will die here.
Olleh, fortunately with no sums, no ult as well, so the engage potential is not very strong considering what we talked about in draft. Hey, it's pretty much Rakan, and other than that, you walk at him. So they won't really be able to do a whole lot else with that. FlyQuest do successfully stop the Baron take, but hey, we're now 4 minutes away from the next time FlyQuest can have a viable win condition.
Yeah. 4 more minutes to split push it out, 4 more minutes to actually pressure things like that bottom tier 2 to extend the advantage further and further and further. It is becoming a real problem here. Licorice probably has a lot of gold in his pockets. I feel like he hasn't faced in a while. We'll see if they can actually get this. Nice Q over the wall.
Okay, Licorice gonna get knocked right on back. He's already used the W, tries to get away. Stopwatch is not gonna stop much, I wouldn't think. But Licorice survives. Nicely played.
Yeah, he's gonna be able to get out of there with that stopwatch. Just dashes back behind the minion. Jose didn't have anything else to actually close the gap, I guess, and or maybe paying respect to the fact that the team would have been on the way. Not being able to get that kill from Licorice, though, really hurts, because that was the TP from toucouille. That's the ultimate as well from Josedeodo. And now you have to expect when Licorice goes back to base, he probably finishes his item here.
Yeah, and let's go ahead, let's do the comparison. 11,300 gold, the Jinx has 9,800. We're not comparing Gwen and Karma, we're comparing Gwen and Jinx. The Gwen with more than 1,000 gold ahead, hitting that 3-item spike first. Johnsun is still working towards Infinity Edge. He's got half of the pieces, but he's still got to buy the last one and get that combined cost, and Licorice is now at those 3 items.
And even comparing him to Corki. Corki is 180 gold, 200 gold behind the Jinx at this point. You're not even the strongest, like, traditional team fighting carry really anymore. Corki's level 14, going to be closing in on the rank 3 of the ultimate there, which is where he gets so terrifying. Even Loss is on 2 items, so he's at least somewhat relevant if you're ignoring him. And Zed has a tremendous amount of lethality. You know, you've got to be really careful around that. And Afro does have the answers, you know, obviously with Locket and with the exhaust, you should be able to shut that down. But if you ever get spread, it is dangerous because Zed finds a carry solo, they will die.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be able to protect them there in that situation. I also just really like the fact that, you know, it's one of those discussions about the poke Corki build, how a lot of the times it feels good, but it's not universally correct.
Yeah.
And in games like this where you have a split pusher, it feels awesome, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're not trying to flex on him here in the 4v5 or anything. Clear the wave, poke him out, make him leave to buy time, and this Corki build is adept at it.
Absolutely. I mean, it has great wave clear, has great poke, and he's just going to be buying time, as you said. He's playing bodyguard here, poking them out, making them spend health and cooldowns as they move in. And this Baron is going down so fast, it's going to be gone.
There's no chance for Josedeodo to even get in there before the Baron dies. Now, Lost and Pridestalker both in the pit, but both have flash. Olleh has already ulted, tries to find his way in and grab a target, but he only grabs toucouille, who does flash away. Now they'll see if they can find anything back. Ablazeolive getting himself away now too. Josedeodo going in for the kick, and they've got Ablazeolive, but they will lose Jose.
Reset.
Olleh tries to get away. They're gonna find another kill onto Lost. Golden Guardians running away now. Licorice at half HP. toucouille's looking for more, but he will not find the kill on Lost. Golden Guardians, they get the Baron, but they will lose the fight 2-for-1.
They do lose that 1 kill. And now the question is, can FlyQuest at least get vision or some sort of a setup around the dragon? Because it again just becomes about that Ocean Soul here. The rush down on the Baron was key. Olleh, I think he kind of overextended on this. When they go back, they're trying to create an opening for Pridestalker and Lost to get out. I think that is enough. You should just walk away with your Baron here.
Yep.
But going in felt like a little bit of an overextension. The nice re-engage comes through. Licorice is sent on the retreat, then Jose in with the Q, Ward Hop kick onto Ablazeolive. He goes down fast. if it wasn't for this chunk out, Lost actually did about 60-70% of Johnson's health there, forcing Johnsun to step back. If it wasn't for that, Johnsun could have continued to go forward, maybe gets the next reset, and maybe it's a disaster. So credit to Lost being able to get that damage down.
And we're right back into it. Licorice immediately using the W to keep himself protected there. 3 seconds until our next Drake spawns. Golden Guardians knows that it is important to stop this one yet again. Now Licorice has used his ultimate, so that's not available here for the next team fight, but aphromoo just lost half HP as well. Now Golden Guardians will start up the Drake themselves. Ablazeolive does have package. FlyQuest must play around this. So important here for all these objectives when you're up against a Corki. Pridestalker on top of the Drake. They're zoning away Josedeodo. They have to deal with him. They want to make sure there's no contest. There comes the death mark. Remember, if the shuriken's not over your head, you're not dead.
And look
no
at the waves.
spinning shuriken, no death.
All 3 waves are shoved in. Golden Guardians know they don't need to rush this. What's the hurry when you got waves here, here, and here? Playing it out really, really smart. Not risking a 50-50. There's absolutely no reason to do that because the pressure is on FlyQuest to make something happen. They do not have really strong engage tools unless they are ahead. The toucouille can't just jump over the wall by himself 1v5 and try to kill someone on Vex and Licorice. Oh my God.
You want to talk about 1v5? Let's talk about 1v4 and the 4 run away. Licorice is an absolute monster.
Oh man, Gwen is a problem here, Flowers.
And there's just no way to really deal with it for these guys. This is now what you were saying earlier on in the game. Hey, if it gets to the point where Licorice is ahead, if it gets to the point where Licorice is this absolute built-to-carry threat, who answers? Well, we've got an immobile AD carry, a traditional burst mage, a guy with 55 CS and a moonstone, and Lee Sin.
Yeah.
The choices aren't very good.
It ain't it. Really, all they can do is try to force, and they're trying to do that. They run everyone down towards bot. Well, guess what Golden Guardians does? They push top. Now they run everyone up towards top. Well, guess what they're doing? They're pushing bot. And it's this push and pull, really exploiting some of the weaknesses of Enchanters. Enchanters thrive in 5v5. Enchanters thrive in these group situations. Golden Guardians are only giving them those situations on their own terms. When they have the setup, when they have package, when they have the poke, to really make it a difficult entrance for FlyQuest. And FlyQuest is just falling further and further behind. You can see 2 levels down now in the jungle, 5 levels down in top lane. And Lost is actually, yes, he's still very far behind, but he's at least a threat at this point.
We're closing in on 3 items for the Aphelios, and that's generally what we talk about when we talk about these hyper carries that want to scale up.
He's a real boy at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Once he gets Infinity Edge, he's scary. I don't care if he was getting his ass beat in lane and he was having a bad time and he was getting dove and he couldn't farm. Once you're 3-item Aphelios, you still pose a threat. And that is the thing that FlyQuest must remember here. They've got a Zonias, they've got an Everfrost, they've got a Void Staff there on their mid laner. But again, toucouille can't just jump in like this when you're 7,000 gold behind. It's so difficult to find the angle.
It really is. They just don't have reliable hard engage. Vex is one of those champions that you can go in if you have immediate follow-up, and maybe they can find something like that. But it almost feels like you're fishing for a kick or something, but they're not giving it to him. Olleh going in.
Olleh with a flash engage, but it's only on to Braum. Not really the ideal target.
Licorice, though.
But it's all about the setup as Licorice approaches from the flank. He'll find damage onto multiple targets and then buy some time with a stasis of his own. Josedeodo finding a kick here. They will kill off
Reset.
Olleh. They will kill off Lost. Licorice trying to get out. Licorice falls. FlyQuest got exactly what they needed right there. Johnsun still looking to get some more. He's excited, but they can't quite close the gap. It's a 3-for-1 fight for Fly.
That was big there, Olleh. Overextension. Thinks he actually has Johnsun caught out, but Johnsun kiting back. Really good peeling and defensive play from Afro and Jose. Buying time for Johnsun there to actually escape that initial engage to get the kill. The objective bounty now coming through. This is one of the things that we haven't actually seen really showcased in the LCS is your top laner is always going to be so far down in gold that it's really easy to actually get objective bounty spawns with this strategy, which means more gold concentrated in the carry on your team.
Yep.
And you can see again here, Olleh is looking for this. He's trying to set up for Licorice, but it's such a long-range engage. You see that the Gale Force, I think, was actually used there by Johnsun defensively. That pulls him back. Licorice goes around here, but the exhaust buys so much time. The Braum passive comes up, so Licorice has to use the Zonias. The Shroud is now expired. He can't close the gap. Jose just kicks Olleh in, and then there's no way out here for Licorice because the speed up here from the passive from the Karma Shield onto Johnsun, allows him to get that reset, allows him to get in, get an additional kill. And now he has a BT here completed.
Oh, yeah.
He's on 15.6K, so he's now almost 1,000 gold up on where Licorice was because of those kills and the objective bounty that they just claimed.
And although Johnsun still needs one more full item to be full build status, having the stopwatch is huge at this point. It allows so much outplay potential in a single moment. Golden Guardians after the Baron here yet again. Ablazeolive with package yet again. FlyQuest tasked with stopping it yet again. Ablazeolive at about 60%, tries to get away from Super Mega Death Rocket, barely loses any
They
HP
can
on that
take
one.
the Baron themselves now.
Licorice is stuck in the back of the pit. He is just taking free damage. They're gonna look for him. He gets kicked right on out. He has no more W to fight with either. They don't want to fully commit here. Pridestalker right back into the claimed by Josedeodo and FlyQuest. Golden Guardians now stuck in the Baron pit trying to get away. The Rockets find one. The Rockets find two. Hey there, Licorice. How about you? Blue team has slain Baron Nashor, says the game, and FlyQuest is striking back hard.
Golden Guardians came to play, but it's all about Jose flying in, steals the Baron. Objective bounty claimed. Flowers, they were 7,000 gold down about 4 minutes ago. Look at the gold now. They are on the march. They are looking to end this game.
You hear that, Azael? That to me sounds like some footsteps in the enemy base on the march to the win. It doesn't matter how long you were losing for as long as you get that Nexus. Split pushing Gwen be damned. FlyQuest take the win.
Oh man, the double smite there. I'm not sure if it actually came through, if both got the smite or not, but Jose flying in over the wall. That got so risky. Golden Guardians thought they were about to pull off a heist. They re-engaged on the Baron when it was down to about 2K, but Jose gets over the wall, wins that fight. They get the initial kills. Johnsun is unleashed in that one, and that is a crazy, crazy finish. FlyQuest have brought up this strategy twice and won in crazy circumstances. They're going to be happy to come away with those wins. But on the other side, man, Golden Guardians have got to be so frustrated. It felt like they were in control. They were winning this game for 30 of the 34 minutes, and then it all went wrong.
It was tough. And I've got to look at the Olleh engage in mid lane where they overextend. Getting the kill there, getting the shutdown on Licorice, getting that money onto Johnsun to put him in a spot to be able to win the fight after Jose just says it's toucouille time and just takes over the bear and takes over the pit, takes over the fight, takes over the game. FlyQuest turned everything upside down and then just suplexed it right into the ground.
I mean, that was a crazy, crazy finish. And credit to Jose. Huge steal. Really does turn the game there. You know, Johnsun, finally they get the most out of the Jinx that they've been putting all their resources into all game long. Let's watch it one more time. Was it actually the double smite here? So this got crazy because he kicks Licorice out of the pit. They say, all right, well, maybe we can do it. Then Pridestalker goes back in with the engage. Nope, it was just all about Jose there. One-on-one, it comes down to the smite. Jose has the outsmite on Pridestalker, who used all his spells early to try to chunk it into smite range. He used the Shadow double QE to actually get it to smite range. Unfortunately, that means you do not have any abilities to combo with your smite. Jose still has his Q. He goes in with the Q plus the smite execute there, secures the bear, and beautifully done by him. And I've got to say, Golden Guardians kind of abandoned what got them to the lead, right?
Yeah.
You know, they were playing through sides so proficiently, splitting the map so proficiently, and I think they could have closed out the game by committing to that strategy. Instead, at the very end, they did kind of get pulled into the game that their opponents wanted to play. A 5v5 where Jinx can really shine, and it came down to one smite, one fight, all of your hard work gone.
It's tragic because both games felt that way this weekend for the Golden Guardians. Granted, the turning point happened earlier against Cloud9 with the fight in the bottom side river, and then here against FlyQuest, it happens in the late game where it just feels like it's locked away. They had over a 7,000 gold lead at one point. This team knows how to get leads. They know how to put themselves in a winning position, but closing becomes more difficult. That's going to be the task for Golden Guardians in the weeks to come. But FlyQuest continue their hot streak here in spring and claim their second win, which means we'll be joining Johnsun on stage with LeTigress for our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. Another wowin' game from FlyQuest. Not quite the 50-minute one this time around, but a dub nonetheless. They were just talking about the fact that this was really looking like Golden Guards were trying to scrap through. So first thing I want to know is, what was the reaction from you and the rest of the team when Josedeodo pulled that off in the end to secure the Baron?
So like towards the end of the game, we were like, they're probably gonna do Baron with the package, and I'll say it was getting a bit sus at the Baron because it was like 2K, and then I think Pridestalker jumped in onto the Baron. But, you know, Jose told me today if he picks Lee Sin, he's going to 1v9, so I guess I got to trust my boy.
Well, and in addition to him playing well in the Lee Sin, you know, you have to pilot the Jinx. A lot of that pressure coming onto you. So what is it like playing such a role in this type of composition?
I would say in this team comp for today, it was pretty, I got to like play really well, but I don't think I really played well today, but because against the enemy team, I have to be scared of like Pridestalker Zed. Like I'm one item and he was one item. I was like, this guy kills me on sight, and then Corki outranges us. But as the game progressed, we kind of problem solved the game, and the enemy team also made a mistake, but we were able to like capitalize on the mistake and get the dub.
It is interesting seeing FlyQuest commit to this style of composition 2 days in a row. Kumo talking yesterday about, yeah, things get hectic, a little mistake here from either side. Now we see another game where how do you even read the gold lead when you have a top laner like that going on? So what is that like, trying to figure out not just how to work into the strategy, but how other teams might be playing against it?
I'll say for the strategy, is the reason why we put it out this week was because not many teams like probably practiced it or played against it. So they don't know how to find a way to win the game. And although like enemy team's Gwen was like pretty fed, they just didn't like find out how they needed to end the game.
So then I know you can't give me too many details, but how much of this strategy then is just trying to disrupt versus finding something that you can all solidly work on together and focus on one single strategy to bring FlyQuest unified under it?
Well, for this strat, we just put some practice onto it, and usually enemy team doesn't know how to like react to it. It's like whenever diving bot, like they're pretty confused. And I think yesterday's game, as was shown, like we swapped to Herald, and the enemy team was thinking about contesting, but then they just went back bot. So every team's like gonna get confused if they never played against this.
Fair enough. FlyQuest always showcasing greatness here as the disruptors of the week. Thank you so much for stopping by for the interview, Johnsun.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and head on over to the State Farm analyst desk to talk once more about the FlyQuest victory.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. Smite in the top lane yet again, and there's a victory that comes with it. However, not as easily this time around. I guess neither of them were necessarily easy, but the wins did come through. So we're going to jump right over Champion Select because to a degree, it's what we expected. Yes, they go for the Karma instead of the Janna. But what I want to do is what we did last time around, Emily, when we had a Smite in the top lane, which is look at every single lane, aside from the support, of course, to see where the gold was at the different early game breakpoints, to see how effective they were at funneling gold onto certain portions, while, of course, Golden Guardians is looking to create an advantage in the top lane.
And this is what I really wanted to see is the difference between Kumo and Johnsun, just because that is where you want to put your pressure, right? And when I got really worried about FlyQuest executions, when they had that first turret dive that didn't work out. Because especially with a Gwen in the top lane, she's gonna take over a game with that amount of free farm. So knowing that Johnsun they were trying to give that goal to him is important. I do think they definitely got set back in execution.
Yeah, and even just taking a look at the jungle pick, because remember, Karma ran mostly offense and kind of stopping what Pridestalker wanted to do. And so Pridestalker, of course, ended up losing his Raptor camp. It was a consistent thing where he was having to deal with the smite from Karma. So goal difference was also there for Lee Sin. Both the junglers and the bot lane really benefited from this.
And it did, to your point, Emily, feel like, to a degree, a little bit more of a clock almost, as that Gwen really started to generate power in the side lane and even in the team fights as well, right? And I think that is ultimately the risk you lay bare when you give a top laner free reign of the lane and say, here's free gold, make of it what you will.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, Golden Guardians actually up a couple thousand gold heading into this team fight, so they can play more aggressively than you might think your four-man core should be able to. toucouille was never, or excuse me, say Ablazeolive was never set behind. He has a really aggressive package in. You had Licorice on the flank the entire time that fed Gwen that you're talking about. And they absolutely smack FlyQuest in this fight. And you think this strategy's boomed, the dragon stacking has stalled out. Like, you think the game's effectively over from here.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians is trying to play around package timers, right? But that was third Drake for FlyQuest. They have a Drake win condition now just because the fact that they were slow to be able to contest for it. The Rakan ulti was just to basically stall for time, I guess. And so this was just a back and forth of mistakes.
Well, and we heard in the interview, Johnsun said, give me the Lee Sin and I'll 1v9. He had to trust his boy. His boy delivers with the Baron Smite Steal.
Yeah, the Baron Smite Steal. He had a couple great kicks as well over the course of the game, and including even in this team fight, I believe he has a really nice play in this one. So I thought, you know, for the fact that they were so far behind, I'm surprised FlyQuest could pilot this comp as well as they did.
There were times where Olleh was going for an engage and he just kicked them away. But like essentially was still able to get the kill on towards Olleh. So it kind of shows you what Josedeodo can do on the pick. So great stuff there.
For his heroics there, as well as good play, as you mentioned, in a couple different moments throughout the game, Josedeodo will pick up player of the game. So good on him. Recognition for stepping up. And this is actually something in a number of ways we were looking for all throughout last year. He was such a big talk in the offseason in his initial acquisition, and I think some people were kind of left wanting more at the end of the 2021 season. So far, so good on him. Now, on the flip side, we've got the rival in Licorice, and by all accounts, he would have been the Pog up until the last couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the thing you saw from Licorice here was not only the understanding of like how he wanted to split push and use his pressure as Gwen, but also, for example, in that team fight, he's single-handedly fending off two people, I think, at once. Yeah. So it splits up FlyQuest as well. I think he performed his role very well, and it's a few unfortunate mistakes around Baron, and unfortunately they didn't win.
Yep. So it's tough.
Don't point at me.
Nice.
Oh!
You guys lost. Don't mean mug me.
You say next time.
Next time. Don't call me. I got you next time. Exactly. That's what it is.
And
that's what it is.
That's the danger here for FlyQuest if they're going to still go for this strategy. I mean, the last rival was Jenkins because he was scary in the Graves. This time around, it's just basically fed carries, top laners, coming into team fights, trying to be as impactful as humanly possible. So it was difficult. Him and Ablazeolive are trying the hardest.
Well, while we're on the topic of Licorice, I know we've got High standing by to provide some pro player insight on split pushing, creating pressure, even though it didn't necessarily snag them the win in the end here. High, take it away.
All right, so I have a relatively short clip here. It's not going to be anything too in-depth, but it's a concept that I think is pretty important. So before I hit the play button, I want you guys to take a look at the map, the mini-map over here. Oh. Right here. Oh. Technical difficulties. Okay. So basically, what we see here is that there are 4 people near Baron. They have perfect vision, and we have Licorice here in the bot wave. What I want him to do is basically tell him, hey, I'm gonna fight you. I want to take 1v2. I want to take 1v3, or at the very least, be pushing the spot lane to force the enemy team to do something. If he gets multiple people to start fighting him down here, that's a free Baron for their team. So when I hit play here, you'll see that nothing actually happens in this clip. And that's the problem that I have. When you're picking these split pushing champions and they're giving you this free laning phase where you're super strong, I need you to basically be like, hey, I'm super fed, you have to come respond to me or I'm going to win the game. But you'll watch here, he pretty much does nothing. And not only that, he backs with 800 gold. All he can really buy with that is a stopwatch, which is a really strong item, don't get me wrong. But if he just keeps pushing the wave instead, he's able to basically get this tower. I guess you can't really see the arrow since it's kind of small, but he's able to get this tower on a window before the next dragon, and that's a lot of gold where sometimes there will be a game or a situation where that money is enough to get your carry the next item or for you to get the next item. So when you're given this free laning phase, I would love to see top laners basically force the enemy team to reply to them rather than you always going to team fight. Just basically go in that side wave, be like, hey, you have to answer to me. I'm gonna fight you 1v3. If you only send 2 people, that's not enough. So that's all I got.
I love this, particularly in the context of a game like this where we have that smite top, right? Because it does feel like there's so much onus put on a player like Licorice with that champion in hand to dismantle what that team comes trying to do by creating that side lane pressure that Hai's talking about.
You get the gold lead in a pretty artificial way, but it's the same thing mid to late game as being ahead on any split push champion. We saw like Impact in the same situation, trying to be really aggressive, calling resources down, like, hey, I can win the game if we try and play through me, and they tried. But here, as Hai pointed out, you know, they're not really playing around this super fed carry.
Yeah, same instance in both games. In fact, even against the, you kind of mentioned Impact already in that game, it's just, idea is consistently force side lanes. Even if you're not going to be able to win through side lanes, you're at least going to get first push and first touch on an objective that you're fighting for. And in this game, it felt like a lot of the times it was Golden Guardians slow to the punch.
Well, that's all we got on FlyQuest and Golden Guardians as FlyQuest moves to 2-0 on the week. Do not forget, though, we've got Licorice and Ablazeolive joining myself and LeTigress after the show on Bud Light League Lounge to face off in a game of beer pong. Now, we worked with Bud Light to create a custom table, and we can't wait to show it off to you tonight on this show. We'll catch you there in the lounge. First off, though, game number 5. It's coming up in just a bit.
About the setup as Licorice approaches from the flank. He'll find damage onto multiple targets and then buy some time with a stasis of his own. Josedeodo finding a kick here. They will kill off
Reset.
They will kill off Loft. Licorice trying to get out. Licorice falls. FlyQuest got exactly what they needed right there. They don't want to fully commit here. Pridestalker right back into the flamed by Josedeodo and FlyQuest. Golden Guardians now stuck in the Baron pit trying to get away. The Rockets find one. The Rockets find two. Hey there, Licorice. How about you? Blue team has slain Baron Nashor, says the game, and FlyQuest is striking back hard.
Not even fair.
What if respawning was refreshing? Here's to the round between rounds.
This game is rigged. This game is out to get me.